I think that the level of quality for VR and the fact that it's tetherless or near tetherless is the jump that we needed for VR. And I, again, personally think that we can have something that's as easy to wear as just regular sunglasses. That would open up like the wide use cases around the world, and there are crazy use cases.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Hello and welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Today I'm going to talk to Gilad Talmon, the CEO of Tetavi. Gilad Talmon is 46 and is married to Gali and the father to Zoe and Hili. He has been a gamer since the early 80s, and that is why he shifted from a 20-year-long career in defense, aerospace, and cyber to immersive media. Gilad has senior management experience in both a startup and corporate setting, spanning a variety of technological disciplines. Gilad is the CEO of Tetavi, a pioneering immersive social entertainment for consumers and professionals by introducing volumetric video to the masses and shaping the future of the Metaverse. Gilad Talmon, Tetavi, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk about gaming, sci-fi, metaverse, entertainment. So much cool stuff that is happening that I know so little about. So this is going to be one of those episodes that I'm just going to look back on, and I'm so excited for it. Thank you very, very much for joining me. Today you're running Tetavi. You have such an interesting background, not coming from the traditional route into the gaming world. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey, and then hear about, how you perceive, metaverse and gaming in today's world and where we're headed. So Gilad, tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your upbringing and how you've entered into this world of gaming.
So actually, for the transition into gaming for me was pretty much natural because I've always been a gamer. Most of the rest of the things that I did during my career were far, far less natural for me, at least. I joined Tetavi about 3.5 years ago. I'm not one of the founders. I'm the CEO. One of the founders is one of my best friends, and it's funny. It started because I'm a geek. We have this game night that we do every Thursday, board games, and we've been doing it for ages. And I was working for a cybersecurity company as kind of the CRO, and Micha, the co-founder, our CTO, we were talking about what he's doing with the company, and he told me about what they're doing, and he said, you should come over and see what we're doing because you'll like it. He knows that I'm a gamer. He's a gamer as well. And we were actually looking for a CEO, and I immediately told him not interested. And he said, "What do you care? Come." And then I come to the company. It was still in the Kodak building. Like there were two algorithm designers, one programmer, and Micha, pretty much, who kind of ran R&D. And he shows me this demo of him dancing. He's an awful dancer, really, really awful. But him dancing in 3D on the computer. And I go like, how did you do that? And then he walks me through it. And I told him, well, I'm in. No brainer. This is
Tell me a little bit about that moment that made you stop and say, I'm in. Because I'm always curious about those moments. You're working on something, that's the world that you're in. And all of a sudden you're exposed to something else and you're saying, you know what, I want to be doing this.
So again, it goes back to my background. Think about it. I'm 46. My father was one of the first computers and engineers in Israel, way back in the late 60s, early 70s. He designed the software architecture for the Air Force. So I've had computers around me all the time. And when I started gaming, it was still the text. You enter a room, blah, blah, and then you needed to guess what the right keywords are in order to progress, and then move through entering into 2D games and then the first 3D games, etc., etc. And I game up till now. I need to send hate mail to somebody who just introduced me to the new Amazon game, The New World, because I spent the last 2 days awake until 3 a.m. playing it.
Wow.
Because that's the free time that I have. No, part of it is research work, okay, or at least that's what I told my wife. But no, seriously, think about when I grew up, then we had Star Trek and Star Wars, and a lot of these, it's around the holodeck and around the interface, the Princess Leia hologram, how they communicate, and how you can create this sense of intimacy and communication. And also gaming. Gaming really progresses towards the place where it's starting to be the social space that can connect everyone. I remember when we used to do World of Warcraft, and we had our own guild in World of Warcraft. The cutoff age was around 30. In the beginning, we didn't even have voice over IP. Voice over IP came in, during the time that we were playing, like pretty much in the middle of where the guild was at its height. We had a few hundred players from all around the world. It got to the point where we socialized so much, and think about it again. In the beginning, no voice over IP. It was all shorthand, texting, and emotes.
Right.
We actually had a gathering of some of the guild members in Ireland, meeting, and we set up this local computer network so we could all link in together and play when we're in the real world. And it became this kind of social circle. I still have, I maintain relations mainly over Facebook with some of the people we were playing with then. And then when I see my daughters now, I have a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old, and the amount of time that they spent, not so much gaming, mainly in Roblox and Minecraft, but just socializing with friends all over the world, it's nuts. That's what I saw. That was the aha moment. I had like a flashback into specifically the holodeck. That's not because of me. I don't take credit. Our VP R&D is also a huge Trekkie. So a lot of our demos, we put kind of holodeckish style environment where we show our captures in. Because really, for me, I don't even remember if it was before or after I joined Tetavi. Did you have a chance to see the Netflix show that they did with the books around Altered Carbon?
Yes, I did.
So he walks there in the street, and then you see that he's starting to get these really in-your-face commercials where they're all AR, and the half of the world is AR or projected holograms, and he can then start decluttering and removing, maintaining some information, removing other information, communicate fewer. I really, really believe that if you look at the way that kind of science fiction put it together even 20, 30 years ago, and the way that tech is progressing, we're heading in that direction.
What is stopping us? So as you're, I think that one of the questions that I always have, because obviously, there's a lot of excitement around it, and we're seeing a lot of people working on this, and we're seeing sci-fi movies talking about this for quite some time. Why are we not advancing as quickly as we'd like? Is it the technology? Is it the consumer side? Is it the regulations?
Regulations will probably kick in when we actually start getting it. And as always, regulation will follow and not lead. And I think that it's fine. Don't take me the wrong way. I think that regulations should follow and not lead. Unless you're in Russia. But there are two issues. Some of them are getting solved. The first issue is communication. You need to overhaul like huge chunks of data. And in a sense, both 5G, edge computing, and what's happening in the cloud will pretty much solve that. The second thing is the viewing devices. The viewing devices, although we're seeing a big progress in viewing devices, we're so far off from the holodeck experience. So even Altered Carbon, just wearing eye contacts, which make all of this seamless, that it's still clunky. Where do you see it really shine? In the gaming world. The gaming world, people are used to the 3D language over 2D screens. People are used to sitting in front of the computer and immersing themselves. And that's why I think, again, my personal opinion, games like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft are so successful. And the immersive performances that you saw, whether it's Ariana Grande or Travis Scott or Lil Nas, were so successful. It's a language that people like us who grew in a gamified world and were gamers, or especially kids like my daughter that, they never knew another world, like playing in the yard with peach seeds. um, the language is much more natural to them. When we get the viewing devices that are more comfortable, I think that that's like the missing piece. And we're getting there. There are companies like Mojovision who are developing the eye lenses. I think that the Quest 2 especially was a huge leap. Before Quest 2, even for me personally, as a very, again, I'm an early adopter, geek, love technology in any shape, way, or form. Our house is, again, I hope my wife doesn't hear this ever, full of useless gadgets and toys. There's an I told you so somewhere in my future there. I couldn't, like, I tried a lot of the VR stuff and I could never go back to them. The first set that I could really go back to is the Quest 2. And we're seeing more and more and more of these sets coming out. I had a chance to try and enjoy the Valve, I forgot the name, but the new one that they have with the 144 hertz, that's amazing. And I can't wait to see what the next generation for Microsoft is, and what the next generation of the AR, and what the next generation of the Facebook, the Oculus is, and what the next generation of the Apple is, although they're not officially announcing it, they're leaking it like crazy. Because I think that the level of quality for VR and the fact that it's tetherless or near tetherless is the jump that we needed for VR. And I, again, personally think that we can have something that's as easy to wear as just regular sunglasses. That would open up like the wide use cases around the world. And there are crazy use cases. Everything from art to performances to advertisement, to just things. Somebody told me it's not my idea, so I'm quoting somebody, but I admit and I apologize to whomever that was that I don't remember, so I can't give credit. But again, it's not mine. The combination of AR, 5G, and glasses that you can actually wear, or something that is wearable, can make all of us superhuman. Think about you, and we just had this case here in our street. Somebody got cardiac arrest in the middle of the street. He sadly passed away. But they were resuscitating him for about an hour. Think about being able to access immediately in AR everything that you need to do in this type of occurrence. Just you get it full volumetric, see exactly how to do resuscitation, the use cases can really, really augment human capabilities, and that's the real potential. Gaming is fun. And again, I love gaming, but the potential of Metaverse in the sense of a layered reality from AR to VR through gamified environments is huge.
I love that perspective. I love the perspective that you bring, that it's not just, we're entering this conversation from a gaming and entertainment perspective, but the fact that, we're actually entering a new era of the way that we communicate with the world and the way that we experience the world. And it actually has some, benefits that are not the ones that are making the headlines, right? And these are obviously things that we should be cognizant of.
Yeah. How ways changed our life in navigating. I still remember the time you traveled abroad and you either had you needed to buy a GPS preloaded, and even before that you needed to have the maps and actually know where you're driving. Think about what will happen when you don't really need Waze, because everything is superimposed. You'll need to go somewhere, and like in a game, like in GTA or something, you'll just have it marked on your reality, and you can declutter it in and out, so you don't have to have it there. And it can give you recommendations because it knows what you want, and it can just think. It's an idea that my daughter had. We're talking about some applications where we'll enable people, just any consumer, to generate volumetric video. Okay, anyone. It won't require the professional system. Anyone can do it. Not exactly how exactly doesn't matter, but anyone could do it. So my daughter said, now with COVID, imagine we could have done a greeting where my wife and I and daughters and my brother and his wife and his kids just build an AR greeting for my parents, their birthday or their marriage anniversary, and they could have all of us give it to them in their living room. You can do that. There's so much around it with, again.
I mean, it's not just for greetings. I mean, today the loneliness epidemic is one of the worst epidemics that there are. We talk a lot about COVID, but when we're talking about socializing and the need even pre-COVID, it's incredible. And solutions like this can completely change the way that we interact with each other and allow us to interact with family members that are overseas. For people that don't have the ability to get out and come to events like weddings and bar mitzvahs, I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, so just two examples in that respect.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, now I know whom I'm quoting. So Mark Zuckerberg said that, this gives you a sense of presence. Because something that's lacking in this type of communication, where both of us in 2D, is it's a much more personalized way of communication, because I can see how you react to what I say, and you still get some body language, but it's not as if you're here. Something that VR and AR have the potential of creating is really a sense of presence, of me being in the room. We did this project with the Office of the President, Ruby Rivlin, where he gave greetings, it was already a couple of years ago for Israeli Independence Day. And they got really, really good reactions, because he finished, it was in AR, and you can bring him into your living room, and he gave this, like, I can't bring you into my living room because of COVID, so I'm coming to you, blah, blah. And then at the end, he said, well, let's kind of, do a picture together. And they got thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures with just kids and family members and entire family, uploaded to their website. And wow. Because it brings a sense of presence. And the second thing that it really has the potential of doing, and it's something that started already. And again, I always like to give my daughters as examples, because, they live this space.
They're living it, yes.
20-something years younger. And with access to all of these gadgets, when I actually had the time to use them, and not at 3 a.m. She's part of a fan club for Stranger Things. And before COVID, we went to StrangerCon in London, and she's part of the international club. She has friends all over the world. They meet in Roblox. They're so socialized, and they meet in Roblox all the time, and they meet and speak and they talk, and they're friends, that last Christmas, Hanukkah, they had a Secret Santa global through Amazon.
Wow.
That is, for somebody like me, when we wanted to communicate with the world, and again, it's not that I'm ancient, I'm 46, like I'm ancient-ish. I wasn't holding dinosaurs, but, I saw some of them before they died. But we had this thing with radios, AM radios, where one of our classmates had this radio, and if you wanted to communicate with people around the world, you'd go and it had this huge antenna, and you started getting your call sign around, hoping somebody would pick it up. Wow. They meet on a regular basis. Kids from the US, Japan, Europe, Israel, Middle East, around the Middle East, with a common interest, and they play Secret Santa with Amazon. It's nuts.
How do you perceive this relationship that they're forming in comparison to the relationships that you knew growing up and today?
I think it has disadvantages and advantages, and I'll tell you why. Specifically, both of my daughters are very friendly, so they have their own social circle here in Israel as well. So they meet with friends and they go out, etc. It's not just, they don't sit in the same room texting each other. And then I think that it's mainly positive. There are the dangers of the internet, etc. And, the big one is already responsible and is very socialized into it. For the young one, we do some more monitoring. But I think that it gives them exposure to different cultures and different people in a way that we just didn't have. Again, my generation, if you didn't relocate abroad with your family, got exposure to other culture through TV. But you didn't really meet the people behind it. Zoe knows personally people from all around the world. She knows the dilemmas of kids her age, again, in the Middle East, Europe, Africa, the US. She communicates with them on a regular basis. And I think that it's very, in the long run, again, talking about the benefits of kind of metaverse and where the sense of presence can bring us, and how much of a unifying, inclusive experience it can be, I think the potential is huge. Talking about regulation, again, not government regulation, I think that it is important, though, to make sure that it doesn't become toxic. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised, and still am, on how inclusive it is, or how inclusive Zoe's experience is, and how much of an educational experience it is for her. Because again, there's a tipping point where when you're far away especially all of these WhatsApp groups, etc., they can become really toxic. I think that part of it, again, is the sense of presence. The fact that you're with the kids there and it's a community, there's repetitiveness, you're there in the virtual environment, it's still your avatar. Hopefully, again, in the future, it won't be your avatar, right. It will literally be you. But it's still your avatar and it's still a community and it has its rules. And so it works kind of like the schoolyard, just in a virtual sense. Again, for me, the experience that we had is amazing. I think it's a literal glimpse into the future, and the fact that we're actually trying to enable some of that future, for me, it's very satisfying. We're recruiting somebody now for a senior position. We're growing after the next round, so we're recruiting the staff in the executive business staff in the US. So one of the guys, when I spoke with him, he's going to come from corporate. He asked me if I'm having fun. And it got me thinking, yes, I am having fun, loads of fun in levels that I never had when I was working corporate. Not because I like the people that I work with. Some of them are some of my best friends until now, but it's so different. It's being immersed in something that I've been dreaming about since I was a young kid. And for me, it's like being, a kid in a candy store.
I love it. I just love it. And Gilad, thank you so much for taking the time to share this with me. There's so much more that I wish to talk to you about. So I'm already booking you for another episode that is going to be specifically about Tetavi, because we didn't talk really about 3D presence and the incredible things that you're doing there. But I just loved hearing your perspective and really, your excitement into this whole new world that we're venturing into. We're so occupied with the world that we're in, and we're forgetting that, our children, our grandchildren are going to be experiencing a whole different world. Yeah. And I think it's time to think a little bit more critically about what the world is going to look like and the values that are going to be there, and adopt it and not fight it. So Gilad, thank you very, very much. I appreciate your time, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much. You as well.